All right, I was 1 minute late because I was setting it up so we're automatically redirected to American courts after this, and I forgot how to do it. So I had to click around for a minute and find it, but it's okay. So it's 6 o'clock. This video is an hour and 33 minutes long, which means we have 27 extra minutes, so we don't bump into Bill. All right, so we're done by the time he starts. I've already just used up 1 minute talking here and playing around with trying to redirect. So we're down to like 25 minutes. We have 25 minutes. That's it. We can't pause the video any more than that. Now I have to explain the video real quick. You're going to like this video a lot, maybe, or you're going to hate it, or you're going to be mad. So the audio is the attorneys don't like stay way away from the microphones. They don't want to go be near any microphone. So I did a lot of editing. I just had to cut them out because it was a whole, they're talking, so we get a bunch of silence with a little bits of words here and there. You'll hear it, don't worry. And then we'll hear someone on the stand say yes. And then we'll hear long pauses. No. So it was really annoying. So it's still choppy. I had to chop everything out and just keep in the words. There's a dad, ultra Christian, very, very, very strict, at war with his 17-year-old daughter. All right. He says at one point she's gay, but she does have a boyfriend. So he really doesn't like that. He's very, very, very strict. So on the day of the incident, she had gone with her boyfriend at age 17 to a pool party at her friend's house. Okay. So her and her boyfriend are there, and her dad wants her home immediately to clean her room because her room's not clean. So she gets home and all of this happens. All right. I start with her on the stand of everything I can get of her. And then her boyfriend gets on the stand. He doesn't really provide any details except for he took a video of everything. So we're going to see a video with her screaming a lot. She's screaming like a teenager screams when they get upset. And that we have to get through those two, and then the dad gets on the stand. And wait till the dad gets on the stand and you hear the words that come out of his mouth. It never gets better. It only just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. It's like bizarro world. Like I can't imagine what his children go through every day. I just can't imagine it. It's monstrous. But let's get to it because I think I just wasted, oh gosh, 4 minutes. We got to keep on track or Bill's going to get mad at me. You know how he gets. He's going to tip YouTube over. He's going to flip YouTube right over. Remember that last time? See if the audio.
Essentially, except the time most recently in the garage, he was like moving me back and like swinging me around a lot, but down at the garden, he was not doing that.
Sorry, I guess I forgot the most important part. He's being charged with either, I can't remember, child abuse or battery, one of those two. He's being prosecuted for child abuse. Let's just go with that until we hear differently.
I believe so, like on my upper shoulder right here, yeah. Yes. No, I shouldn't. I mean, I know that he talked to the doctors, but I don't think there's anything false there. Yes. I mean, I thought that he would just let me go right into my room and start cleaning it, since it seemed to be a very big priority. I wasn't really expecting to just stay in the garage instead of going up to do what I came there for. I believe he was extremely angry and wanted to get his anger out first before he allowed me to do what he wanted me to. I think like a lot of times when I was growing up and just really young, I think like if I misbehaved or something, I'd get my nose put on the wall a lot of the time. But I don't think I wanted to this time, and so he had me like by the back of my neck and like, but I think he pushed too hard, and then my head hit the wall.
So
I believe it was like my early freshman year. I had stopped taking my, I believe it was either Lexapro or Wellbutrin. I had stopped taking it. I would say that I'm on my antidepressant because of it, because I got on my antidepressant after going down to Maple Heights. It was a mental institution. I was there for about 3 days.
So, Father gets into her mental issues a little later, including trying to explain the punishment she gets for cutting herself. He had to decide on the punishment for her.
After the incident in December, I had gotten very depressed afterwards. So I ended up going to the mental hospital, and that's how I ended up on my antidepressant that I'm on now.
I believe that the other children are not part of this case.
Section is relevant.
Just the relevance of talking about other kids and the whole family.
I'm going to sustain the objection because it was also referenced in the pretrial order. So I'm going to honor the pretrial order, sustain the objection.
It didn't feel like he was trying to correct me. It more felt like he was trying to control me and my actions. It felt more like he was acting out of anger and in like the spur of the moment. I believe like, you know, if you're pointing at something and like just showing it, or like being an aggressive, like confrontational way, I feel like there's two different tones there and how they could be received. I did feel his hand like kind of come with mine, but he like had gotten like my fingers with it.
Hey, Ross?
I do. When a moment ago, when you said
That was the attorney's.
He said that after the incident, after he had pinned me on the ground. He had told that to both me and Ben after he had entered the garage. Yes, and that was during the time that I was living with my mom, but I believe it was because I felt like I had started becoming very depressed about the state of me and my dad's relationship. You know, we hadn't been talking for that entire time, and you know, I was really upset about and hurt by what happened, but at the end of the day, I still do love him. So going to the mental hospital, I believe that was a result of like depression about really everything. I don't think that was because of my mom. Yes.
See why I had to cut it all out? It's useless.
I think Mr. Roop, redirect Mr. Lankowski.
You said you had not talked to your dad in some months. How long had it been?
I was just really excited. I heard a lawyer ask a question there. I was just so happy.
It had been, I don't know, maybe like, are you referring to like before the incident? Or after
the incident.
We hadn't been talking for, I would say, the entirety of like from May to December. So what? Maybe like 4 months, something like that.
And were you guys talking before the incident?
Yes.
So it wasn't until after the incident you guys stopped?
Right. it was a little scarce after I had moved to my mom's house. But then really all communication kind of ceased after May 19th.
Was that on both sides?
Yes.
Did he not reach out to you and you didn't reach out to him?
Before the incident, he would reach out to me. But then after the incident, neither of us really reached out to each other.
How'd that make you feel that he never reached out?
Really, I don't know, not very good. I felt really kind of heartbroken about it. I felt like it honestly felt like the relationship between like me and my dad was over. So it really was hard.
I have no other questions.
Nor do I.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you can ask this witness questions. You have your question forms. Please write the questions down if you have any, and then tender those to my bailiff. I'll give you a moment to write those down.
Oh yeah, the parents hate each other. Hate each other. Hate each other. Wait till you hear the father talk. That's all we're waiting for.
Bailiff, I do think there is one question at least. I'll give a little bit longer to finish writing any other questions. Can counsel please approach? There were 3 questions total. The court has determined, I should say there were 4 questions total, 2 on one form. The court has ruled that 3 of those questions will be asked. I will acknowledge the final question. The first question, ma'am, is pushed or slapped hand from remote. Meaning, is that what occurred?
I would say it was more of like a slap from the garage door button, if that's what it was asking.
Oh, I have a
Second
life.
question is
Oh yeah.
afraid for your life.
I wouldn't say I was afraid to be killed or like for my life. I would say it was more, I was afraid of like getting hurt. I wasn't afraid of like dying.
The next question is, since May 19th, what do you have in mind about how your communication looks like? Do you want to have contact with your dad or not?
I mean, at the end of the day, he's always going to be my dad and I do love him.
All right, just remember that. Remember, she said that right there. After you hear the father, after you hear the words that come out of this man's mouth.
I do hope that one day we can work out something. I'm hoping that we can.
That broke my heart right there. Broke
Thank
my
you,
heart.
ma'am. The final question from the jury was as to a legal aspect, and the court just wanted to tell the jury that you will be instructed on the law in the final instructions. And so the question that was submitted is about the instructions as compared to a factual issue related to the witness testifying. So we did not ask that question. Are there follow-up on that, Mr. Langowski? Any one of those questions?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Brew?
With regard to your time with your dad, man,
Yes, yes.
didn't you all as a family recently go to Branson, Missouri?
And like what time? What are you referencing? I remember the trip, but when?
Yeah.
I can't recall exactly. I think I really don't know. Maybe like my, I don't know. Maybe like sometime in my junior year. I don't remember, but it was sometime during high school.
So,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I believe I get free tuition for 4 years because of it. His benefits from the VA.
Did those questions raise any redirect, Mr. Langowski?
That trip you took, that was before the incident?
Yeah. Yes.
I have no other questions.
Any questions on that? Ladies and gentlemen, you do have a second opportunity if you'd like to ask the witness questions based either on questions of the jury or the follow-up questions from counsel. I'll give you a moment to write those questions down. I see no hands moving, so I believe that is no questions from the jury. Ma'am, you are free to step down. Mr. Lankowski.
That's all I got from her. Now we're going to go to her boyfriend. And it's short, but they play a good bit of a video and it gets loud. She screams a lot. So hopefully it doesn't blow our ears out, but I just warned you.
Is she released from her subpoena?
Yes.
And Mr. Brew, do you intend calling her as a witness in your case?
I don't know.
If you could just have a seat in one of the conference rooms across the hallway for a moment. Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are going to take the lunch break. The lunch is actually waiting for you. I did not want to interrupt the direct and cross-examination of the witness to have our lunch. With that, Mr. Langowski, can you call your next
Lunch is
witness?
over.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Benjamin Katowicz.
Mr. Katowicz, can you come on up to the witness stand here? Before you have a seat there, can you raise your right hand? You swear or affirm under the pains and penalties of perjury to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please answer now.
I do.
Thank you. Have a seat there.
Benjamin Katowicz. Katowich. I do. She is my girlfriend.
And
About 3 years, just under. High school. John Glenn High School, Washington, Indiana.
are you in college now?
Yes.
Where?
West Lafayette, Purdue.
Purdue?
Aviation.
Mr. Langowski, one moment. For the responses to the questions, even though they may be simple yeses or nos, answer out loud with a yes or no. I could hear you and I saw you nod yes, but just answer yes or no so that the record can clearly pick up what you're answering. Mr. Langowski.
Yes. He is my Caitlin's father, and I've been at the house multiple times. Yes. Just kind of mutually respectful. I haven't had any issues or any. I do. Hanging out with Caitlin and a few of mine and her friends at a house in Pioneer. The Rices, Lisa Rice, and Rice is my buddy who lives there. We were just kind of having a get together and hanging out by the pool. Yes. She had to clean her room at her dad's house. She did not have a ride, and I just figured I would give her. No. I did. Yes, I did. That is on I believe there is Union in Walkerton. It's I arrived at the house and I don't really remember. I mean, it was like, I don't remember if he was outside when I got there. If not, he was there soon after, but he was outside relatively soon after I got there. If not already. No. Sure. Yeah. Yes. Like. Yeah. I mean, hard to kind of tell.
Thank you
2
for the
years ago.
snuggles, by the
And-
way.
So
Does she? She gets out of the car at some point. Yes. I don't remember. Yes. Yes. No. Originally, when I was taking her there, I was planning on staying while she cleaned her room and then taking her back to the friend's house. And I was still kind of deciding if like I should leave right away or like call somebody. And I was just kind of waiting in my car for just a few minutes. No. Yeah. Yes. Yes. I heard screaming from inside the garage. Yes. Caitlin. I got out of the car and started recording, and I started banging on the garage door, kind of like, hey, what's going on? Garage door opened and went inside. No. My iPhone. Yes. I saw Caitlin pinned on the ground. Mr. Short hitting her on the ground. I don't remember. He had his hands on her. Yes. I don't remember. Yes.
All right, any minute now they're going to play the video. So get your
We're going to
earbuds
publishing.
ready.
The video should be placed on the iPads. I would encourage you to not watch it right now because we're going to be playing it in the courtroom here. And if you're watching it, there may be audio. And so that'll confuse what is occurring. So just simply.
This video is either her, the girl who was on the stand before, and her father having a fight, or Fozzie giving Kelly his beer to hold instead of me.
If we watch along, it will be on your iPads for viewing during deliberations or later at any breaks.
Hey, I'm sorry, but I heard.
I understand. That's okay.
This is definitely Fozzie giving Kelly his beer to hold instead of me, and me freaking out. That's what this video is.
Not about you. She's on her fucking mind. Ben, she had fucking attacked me and I'm not gonna talk.
Open the garage door. I think this is too much.
Ben, is this what you? I'm telling you straight up, Ben. I would not hurt you in any way. Come on, calm down, Caitlin. I'm just trying to get her to calm. I'm not gonna let her slap me and beat me up, Ben. And she went. I understand.
Sorry,
Caitlin, I'm gonna let you up. You gotta calm down. This is out of control. There's so much going on, you just don't know something. You don't. This is what I've been dealing with for years. Years. I'm not kidding. I love her, but I can't ever act like this. I'm gonna let you up, Caitlin. You are not going with Ben, and I'm glad Ben didn't leave. You cannot do what you're doing. You're out of control. I'm gonna let you up. I'm gonna let you up. You can't take her, Ben. I'll call the authorities. I'll call you, Ben. Ben, there's more going on here than you know, son. This is my daughter. And I don't like the way this is happening. She's telling that
I forgot my phone.
Telling you that it's a lot cheaper than that. So I would never in my entire life hurt my children, and I never have. But she went freaking nuts on me. And yeah, you did try to open the door.
Yeah, I didn't fucking attack you.
When someone comes at you with their hands, just
She's trying to say, I never touched you. I was trying to open the garage door to get out. She wanted to get out. She was trapped in the garage. He says that she was punching him in the face. So he had to, put her arm behind his back in a chicken wing and get her on the ground and put his knee on the small of her back to control her.
calm down. Your father, honey, your mom's on her way. We have been frantically looking for you for over 2 hours.
Frantically looking for me. All you want me to do is be controlling. Let me go.
Caitlin, calm down. This isn't fair to Ben at all.
It's not, so why'd you get him involved?
Caitlin, you cannot physically assault me. I shouldn't. When I stood, I was standing right here.
Yeah, I tried to open the garage door.
And what did I do?
I attacked you.
I'm not going to argue with her. You need to calm down. Because your mom is on her way with Stephanie.
Yeah.
And you can't do what you just did.
I tried to leave because you took my phone and you were making me.
You were being disrespectful and.
No!
How can, when I'm trying to talk to her, she's doing this then? She's just staring at her phone, so I snatched it out of her hand.
I was not.
Caitlin, look at the condition you're in right now. Condition you're in right now. You need to calm down. This has to be addressed, Caitlin. You cannot treat me or your mom like this. You can't. Your mom and I are on the same sheet of music, Caitlin. Ben involved in this.
No, you did.
Ben's dad is involved in this.
Because you brought me.
Because we are parents and we are doing what parents do. You understand? When a child at the age of 17 does the things that you've been doing, it's not going to work, Caitlin. You're making this into something that it is not. Can you not tell me what I'm going to do? Don't reach for things in my face. I don't know how many times. And you cannot hit me in the face, Caitlin. When I stood by the handle of it, when I stood by the button, you were going nuts.
Because I'm trying to get out. I'm not saying you did it. You grabbed my neck.
I'm not saying you did it on purpose, Caitlin, but you did it, and I'm not going to tolerate it.
It's you. I don't want to know your life.
You're right, Donald. She's a person, not a possession. But he doesn't know that.
What did you think was going to happen?
What do you think was going to happen?
Your behavior, what did you think was going to happen?
When I was trying to get out? What are you talking about?
Listen to me. You're trying to get out. I'm telling you, you need to sit down. And when I tried to explain to her, she had to sit down because I was going to try to talk to her calmly, and we're waiting.
No.
And this is what happens. She interrupts. She starts gaslighting, and I'm telling you, look at this, then. This is what I've been dealing with for 2 years. You haven't. That's why I didn't let you in the house, Caitlin. I could tell your attitude. I said, no way. You are not going in my house under this condition.
Really worried for Caitlin. She's in distress.
Mr. Brew, cross-exam.
Go to bed after school. So sometime after 3 o'clock that day, maybe an hour or two after. I really don't remember. We were getting text messages. Both of us had received text messages from both Steve and Jamie. Yes. Not immediately. Once we got enough of them to know, like serious, like really serious, then yes. I mean, we had talked about it because she had thought she would have more time on, like she thought she had the entire weekend and not that Friday. We went to the Rices. Then when she figured out she had just that Friday, she was already at the Rices. Didn't want to leave.
Try to break as normal time or normal business hours, that is. With that, Mr. Brew, does the defense have any evidence they'd like to present?
Yes, he does.
And please call your first witness.
Call Steve Short.
All right. Well, there was one other witness in between there that I didn't show because it was the 13-year-old brother. And I didn't want to show with the 13-year-old brother on this. So thank you. So we're going to see the father talk now. Try to stay calm, guys. Breathe. And if you have to turn the stream off, turn the stream off.
Mr. Short, please approach. If you could, go ahead and stand in front of the bench and I'll swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under the pains and penalties of perjury to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Go ahead and have a seat on the witness stand, sir.
Again, Julie, thank you for all your comments. I read them all, every single one of them. Thank you. Hey, Judge, how are you? The Judge is a good father. Now we're about to see this guy.
Mr. Brew, questions of Mr. Short?
Yes, sir.
Judge, if you rewinded it all, just make sure you watch your ears because she screams a lot. She lying?
Steve,
Julie, thank you.
please state your full name.
Just so you know, Judge, I felt bad because I'm cheating on you because usually you're always in all of my streams. Every stream, I ration you. So I have some for Saturday and Sunday. But no, you're not in this one because Bill's coming on next and I got to get it over with and done before Bill starts.
Stephen Paul Short. 65. Right now I live in Valparaiso, Indiana. I just moved there about a year ago. 222 Kimrich Circle North. Valparaiso zip code is 46385. Right now, Stephanie and Stephen. Correct. Yes. Stephanie's a junior at Washington Township High School. She's 16. Stephen goes to Victory Christian Academy. He's 13. He enjoys that school.
Thank you, Fozzie.
Correct.
What year?
It would have been in July of 2003. In 2003, yes. 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 I retired in 2000 from the United States Navy. "20 years. I joined the Navy in 1980. Originally, I joined to be an engineman. I'm kind of a gearhead from back in the day, the Johnson High School. But I saw a film in boot camp called Someone Special. It was about frogmen. Actually ended up being a propaganda film about Navy SEALs. I saw that, decided, hey, that's something that I want to try. And I made it through training, at which point I was then sent to SEAL Team 2 in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I was with SEAL Team 2 for 4 years. I did multiple deployments overseas in support of the unit commander of the European, I don't remember exactly what it was now, but it was part of the European NATO allies. I was stationed out of Scotland several times. Okay. Oh my! I've been on 6 of the 7 continents. I've been all over the world, all through Europe, Northern Africa. Yes. Team 2. It was just a little bit over 4 years. And during that time,
It's I believe that the actual charge is child abuse. She's 17. She's not a little girl. She's 17, almost 18. But she was at a pool party with her friends, and he wanted her to clean her room. So she came home. Her boyfriend drove her home to clean her room, and the father wouldn't let her in the house at all. Then they went to the garage. She reached for the door to open the garage. He was standing there, and he says that she was trying to punch her. She says she was just trying to get out. She was trying to reach for the button. And so he like chicken winged her, and he put her on the floor, put her face into the floor. His knee was on her back. And that's when the boyfriend came in and started filming it. So they're charging him with, I can't remember the exact charge. It's either child abuse or aggravated assault of a minor or something like that. I think we'll find out what it is at the very end when the verdict. We do get the verdict soon. We're about 1 hour away from the verdict.
I had there was a new unit that had been started up. It was SEAL Team 6. I'm not sure if you ever heard of it. It was a team that killed Bin Laden. I wasn't on that team at the time. I had retired, but based upon my deployments and some of the combat situations I was put into, it qualified me to select for SEAL Team 6. I put in selection, went through another 6 months of very rigorous training, but I made it into SEAL Team 6 and I went into Blue Team.
It's what the father is about to say about the whole incident and about how he is with his children. That is, I don't know. That's what the father says here that we're watching.
I was there for 9 years and I would have finished my career there, but I fractured my neck in a parachute jump. So I had 2 years off. I'm a disabled veteran. What the Navy did was they allowed me to go to college for 2 years through a program called the EAP, Enlisted Education Advancement Program. I went to college for 2 years. I got 2 associate's degrees. During that time, I worked very hard to get my body back in shape from the injury. They really didn't know what to do with me because I had a cervical collar injury, and they decided to put me through like an endurance thing that a fighter pilot would do. They had protocols with that. I passed that with flying colors. I couldn't go back to SEAL Team 6, but they sent me to SEAL Team 8, which was fine by me. I got back in the teams. Yes, my whole life. I went to Uri Middle School. I did 2 years of wrestling at Uri. And then from Uri, I went into John Glenn. It's the high school I graduated from in '78, and I wrestled all 4 years. So I had 6 years of experience wrestling through the high school. And then when I joined the Navy, they had wrestling leagues there, which I joined as well. So I've been wrestling for most of my life, especially it was a good base foundation for once we got into the SEAL teams. They start teaching them much more advanced martial arts, hand-to-hand type stuff. It came in very handy. And at which point I ended up training a lot of the guys in the teams as well, which was very helpful for them. It kept me sharp as well.
Yes, we know. We have video. Michael sent it to us. Shh, don't tell Victoria.
Yes. When I retired, I went to several different job fairs. I had a very good resume. So I spent a good year kind of looking around as to what I wanted to do. And I came across an article, and I can't remember which magazine it was in, but I came across an article, the 10 toughest jobs in the world, not just the United States, but the world. And one of them was being a stay-at-home parent. And I said, that's what I want to do. The reason why is because I was married prior. And unfortunately, there's a very high divorce rate within the SEAL teams because we travel so much. I wanted another family. And so when I retired, when I started to work for AM General, I worked for them for 4 years after I retired as well. It was during that time that Jamie and I got married in '03. February 14th of '06. Correct. Correct. It would have been in 2014. At that time, we were homeschooling. I homeschooled the kids through Indiana Connections Academy. And once we got divorced, and Jamie did help in the very beginning with the homeschooling, but when we divorced, Jamie started to go back to school, and we did have 50-50 visitation. She would have the kids for a week. I had the kids for a week, and we did that for about 2 years, homeschooling. Correct. There were some issues with the education and the time frame for the kids, and I petitioned to have residential physical custody of the kids, and which I did receive. And it was important because it was about that time. We transferred the kids into from homeschooling into North Liberty Christian School out of North Liberty. I put them into that, and that allowed me to do that because, like I said, there was some issues going on with the kids and the education side of it. And I thought it was in the kids' best interest because we had homeschooled them all the way up till Caitlin, I think, was in 5th grade when we switched from homeschooling. We put them in North Liberty Christian. And we thought I did it on my own because I had custody of the kids at that time. And so I put them at North Liberty. Yes. Again, there were more issues with the mom that needed to be addressed. And it was at that point that the mom was given supervised visitation for, I believe, a year, which was I have to say, it was very difficult for the kids. Folks, you all know, divorce destroys families. And it was hard on the kids. Correct, had to be. Correct. Correct. Have sole custody of Stephanie and Stephen.
He has sole custody of Stephanie and Steven, so he does not have custody of Caitlin anymore.
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Correct.
It sounds like even though she's with her mom instead of her dad, that it's not better. I don't know if it's better for her or not. But he's about to start explaining everything that happened this day.
Yes. Yes. Correct. Okay. Yes. I would say approximately during the time when the mom was going through the supervised visitation, and then I would say around 2019, I saw a dramatic change in Caitlin's behavior. This is a child that I'm sure, as you figured out, I am a devout Christian. I have been my entire life. That's why we would teach Bible studies at home. We were Christians, and that's why I put them in that Christian school. In 2019, one of the changes that I saw in Caitlin was her behavior at dinner time. We sit down as a family as a meal, we say our prayers, and we do the old-fashioned, the way I was raised, old-fashioned sit down, we eat our dinners, we have discussions, we say prayers always before dinner. And what I noticed was that Caitlin was interrupting, especially when it came any discussion about the Lord. She was difficult. She was being very difficult, and it got to the point where she began to interrupt and mock our Christianity. At this time, I was married. I had remarried to Jennifer, and Jennifer and I had many, many conversations about what is going on with Caitlin. And Jennifer as well is a devout Christian as well. We're evangelical, and we were trying to figure out what is going on with this kid at this time. There was an incident, the very first incident where we saw Caitlin literally blow up was at the dinner table. That I saw behavior in Caitlin that was shocking to me. She literally started to mock God in a way through homosexuality. She kept saying that she was homosexual.
Objection.
She was pan.
Hold on.
Objection, hearsay is the statements Caitlin made.
In response. So I'll sustain the objection. When you describe these incidences, try not to specifically say,
Understood.
This person said. So sustained, strike that little portion about what Caitlin said from the record as well. Go ahead.
Oh, Linus, it gets worse and worse, and then it just gets worse.
What? The easy way for me to say this is that I found a pride flag in her home that she wanted to keep in her room. And we said, no, that is not allowed in this home. people outside of our home, whatever they want to do, that's what they can do. But in this home, we have standards, we have boundaries that we follow, and we use the good book to follow those rules. Very, very simple. And that, without going into a whole lot of detail, that's where it started to progress, where she was pulling away from the family. We were concerned about her disrespect. It's to both myself and my wife. Things started to escalate as we moved from 2019 going into 2020. I visibly saw there were cut marks on Caitlin and that she was starting to cut herself. For punishment, let me back up here a second. Once we saw the cut marks, I knew we were in trouble. I knew that there was something going on with Caitlin, and
For punishment, he was about to say, because of the cut marks. He was about to say, for punishment.
Immediately put her with Jill Usity at Brighter Tomorrows here in town. She's a wonderful therapist, and Caitlin was with her for, I'm not really sure how long, but it was well over a year. And it was during that time where, although she was seeing Jill, at the same time, her behavior was still going downhill. She was really withdrawing from the family at that point. It came to my attention, and I agreed to her being medicated, and we used the meds for her. But I think Caitlin talked about that a little bit. That it got to the point though where Caitlin would come to me with the script. See, I'm trying to teach my children to be adults, not adult children, and I walked her through the prescriptions with her antidepressants, and I realized that, and they were working. But what I did was, and I think this may have been a mistake, but I said, Caitlin, you're old enough now, honey. You're getting better. You need to manage your own meds if you're going to be on these for a while. And so we did. The only problem was she came to me 2 weeks. She was misusing them. She was taking too many. Because when I looked at the script, it was another 2 weeks before she could get a refill. And that's when it dawned on me that she was misusing her scripts. So at that point, through consultation, through her doctor, and through Brighter Tomorrows, I made a decision to pull her off the meds.
Do you think he consulted with the doctor at all? No. He made a decision to pull, because they don't just pull you. They don't just stop those meds. You get weaned down. They don't just say, okay, no more for you.
But if you're referring to the garden incident,
No.
Correct.
There's more.
Yes. In 2021, every year we have a family reunion. I have a very large family, and each family, we take turns with the reunions. And after the reunion was over, I think it was we have it through the weekend, and I believe it was the next day, Monday or Tuesday. I'm downstairs, it's in the evening, and I smell marijuana in my house.
Objection. I don't think he can testify to whether or not another witness is using drugs.
Smell.
Hold on, Mr. Schwartz.
It's 404B. It's a prior bad act.
Right. Any response, Mr. Burke?
I don't think this actual purpose of 404B. The witness is describing nothing. No.
And he just testified that he thought she broke the law, which would be, if it's charged or uncharged, as a prior bad act.
I recognize that, but I don't think it's offered for
Jennifer, can you see Lori?
to prove her character or that she acted in a certain way.
I think that's what his entire testimony is, that she's progressively acting a certain way.
but on a particular occasion is what it's talking about in 404. So I recognize that it may be a violation of the law, but I don't think it's offered to prove whether she violated the law or not. It's getting to the discipline issue that Mr. Brew is asking about. So I'll overrule the objection. I will say, we don't need to go too far down the rabbit hole, so to speak. Yeah.
So, what did you, what happened? No. So,
Smelled marijuana. Obviously, I went searching through my house. Where is this coming from? And I went upstairs. The kids' bedrooms are all upstairs. And I turned and I smelled it coming from Caitlin's bedroom. I knocked once. Usually I always knock, listen for him. But this time I knocked once and I walked in and smoke was coming out of her mouth. Caught her red-handed. I just looked at her and I said, Caitlin, and I put my hand out and said, let me have it. She put the pipe in my hand and I said, where's the rest of it? She went into the closet. She got it out, put it in my hand. And I said, who else? Is there any more else in the house? She said, no. And I said, I actually said, did Stephanie have anything to do with this? Okay, I'll do that. Anyway, so I took it. I told her, she's grounded in her room for a full week. I believe it was a Monday. And I said, you're grounded in your room until Friday, at which point I disposed of it, flushed it down the toilet. And she did. We brought her down for meals, but she was in her room for a full week. I do. It was about during this time that Caitlin would take a shower in the evening, but I couldn't get her out of the shower.
This part's going to really, really, really make you mad. So breathe through it. She's taking a shower. He can't get her out to leave the shower. Often, over and over again.
We have a 55-gallon huge water heater in our house. I had a very large house at the time. And Caitlin would be in the shower and she would stay in there until that 55-gallon water tank was completely cold. And then she would be in the shower for almost up to an hour. Obviously, I could go into the bathroom. I would go into the bathroom and I would constantly knock on the door and tell her. This went on for a long period of time. I would knock on the door. Eventually, I'd go in. She would go ballistic because she's in the shower. And I understand. But as this built up, it got to the point where I really didn't know what to do. Do I go down and turn the water off? Which is what I did many, many times. And then eventually it got so bad. I said, Caitlin, you're not showering for a week. And I literally blocked her. She tried to go take a shower several times, being disobedient. And I was on my game and I said, no, you are not taking a shower. There was no yelling. There was no screaming. I just said, this is the way it's going to be. You cross the line again. This is your punishment. It's as simple as that. It always started out with either a grounding, but definitely what works with the kids, and I think it's cultural now, is take their phone away. I would definitely take their phone away, and that stunk. I know she didn't like it, but the worse the infraction, the longer I would keep the phone. I am not a yeller. I am not a screamer. And I was very surprised at the testimony that I heard from Caitlin. And that's just not the fact. I have a lot of integrity. I was trained, people have guns pointed to my head many, many times where I had to remain calm. You do not do the job that I used to do if you're a hothead. You just don't do it. There's no way anyone who is a hothead is going to make it into SEAL Team 6, and I am not a hothead. Caitlin has said that to me before, that I'm too harsh, that I'm too mean with her, and I just don't see it. And she's playing me. And I love my daughter, and I know there's times where I have let her off of punishments early because I don't like punishing my children at all. I'm an older father. I have some experience with being a father, and I'll just leave it at that. That would have been in April of 23. This was a planned event that we told the kids days ahead of time. I've learned that if I would give Caitlin some time, let her know that, hey, on this day, at this hour, we're going to be doing these chores. And that's what we did. We prepared the kids for it. That day came, we had breakfast. We all went down to the garden. Make a long story short, Caitlin, and I believe Caitlin asked to go to the bathroom. So I said, go ahead. So I sent her up to the bathroom, and 15, 20 minutes later, where's Caitlin? Well, my wife had to go to the restroom as well. So my wife goes up to the house, uses the restroom. But then my wife comes out, and I see my wife coming out, and I could tell by her demeanor and by the way she walked and her gant that she was upset. And as I'm watching my wife walk towards me, I see Caitlin running down the road. Our driveway is about 100 yards off the road, Union Road, outside of Walkerton. And there goes Caitlin literally running down the road. So I knew what was going on. And I did take Stephanie, my youngest daughter, with me. Because at this point, I'm concerned about Caitlin's behavior to the point that I wanted her sister there as kind of a cushion, someone that she could talk to. And I'm glad I did, because we did go after her. We caught her about 1.5 miles away, and I pulled up behind her. She was walking at that point. She wasn't running anymore. I told Stephanie, go out, go talk to your sister, calm her down, and bring her back to my car. And she did. And we brought her back to the house. There was a time frame where I distinctly remember her saying, okay, we're going to take a little break here, but everybody go down to the garden. Everybody go down before the end of the entrance. And we had a very large garden, and we all did. Caitlin did comply. She did go down there. But then once we all got together again, I said, okay, guys, this is what we're going to do. We kind of did a little huddle, got together. Stephanie, anyway. At that point, Caitlin goes off saying, and I will never forget it, the only reason you had me was because you wanted slave labor. And I said, Caitlin, you can gaslight me all you want, but we've got work to do in the garden, and this is what we're going to do. And she went ballistic. Caitlin, and we would be in here for 2 hours if I was to go through every incident where we would try to get Caitlin to do something, or at least comply to some of the standards that we had in our home. She would escalate. The more we would try to get her to cooperate, she would escalate. And she is a screamer. And she gets mad. She throws terrible tantrums. And this whole 2-year period that we're talking about, my concerns with Caitlin gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Folks, I got to a point where I did not know what to do with her. I really did not. I did not know. Kind of leads to April. She kept standing up. Caitlin has her own way, and what she would do was she would just completely ignore, like, okay, we're all going down to the strawberries, and my wife would show them this is how we're going to clear through the strawberries as quickly as we can. Caitlin would just go off and do her own little thing. And this kid's, I think she's a freshman in high school at this point, or in 8th grade. Caitlin and Jennifer get into this huge argument. And because Caitlin had ran off before that same day as well, I could tell Caitlin she was escalating again. And I told her, sit down. She did sit down. So as I'm sitting down in front of her and I'm trying to talk to her to get her to calm down, she starts to stand up again. And all I did was I just took her and I just pushed her back on the ground. Her glasses did get knocked off. But that's not what I did. I didn't hit her on the side like she said in her testimony. I literally pushed her back down into a seated position, because I know police officers do it. We did it when we were in the teams. If you had someone who was a threat of leaving, you made them sit down. And that's exactly what I did. Sit down, Caitlin. Calm down, because the issue was with Caitlin, I'm not working in the garden, and I'm saying, yes, you are. That's what the issue was. So continue. Yes. just Caitlin and myself. Yes. Correct. It was about 2 hours after that. I was concerned with her life. She was making threats about her on her body. She was making physical, actual suicidal threats to me that she was going to kill herself. I'm not a slave. You can't make me do this stuff. It was difficult. It was a very difficult time. So I took her to the emergency room. I didn't know what else. Again, I didn't know what else to do. When a child makes a threat of suicide, or your friend does, I was always taught, get them help immediately, and that's what I did. It would have been, yes, it would have been early spring, early April. Well, in between taking her to the emergency room and May 19th, I had driven to, things did calm down. I think it kind of gave her a taste of what she may be possibly getting into. And things did calm down for that short period of time, but we were driving back. Caitlin worked at Sweet Swirls here by Hacienda, and I picked her up from work, and I was driving her back to the house, and I was talking to Caitlin about her grades and about the rules, I have 10 rules in my house, and they are the 10 commandments, and that's how I teach my children. If you follow these 10 rules, you will not get in trouble throughout your entire life. And I started talking to her, and because I brought up the 10 commandments, she went off. And I just let her go, and I said, well, Caitlin, I looked at your grades on Harmony. John Glenn has a good system where I can look at Harmony. And this kid, years ago, was a straight A student. And I look at her grades, and I'm like, she's a senior. She's got terrible grades. And I'm like, Caitlin, I got to the point where I said, Caitlin, if you cannot follow these simple rules and just like everybody else does, then she was a terrible, terrible example for her siblings. That was the other issue. And that's what I told her. And I said, if you can't follow these simple rules, if you can't clean your room, if you can't do the chores you're supposed to do, then I think you need to go live with your mom. And she immediately said yes. It would have, I think she called her mom that day, and I think it was that same day that she brought her home from work. It was very soon afterwards. Say that again.
Into a microphone.
Roughly, I think at that point she was in middle school. Well, actually, no, she would have been probably 5th or 6th grade, actually, with Fish Lake. Yeah. I was in the living room. I believe it was a Sunday because I was watching football, and the kids were outside. They were old enough to be outside on their own, and we had a deck just off of our house, and I heard my youngest daughter literally screaming very loud. And so I jump up and I run onto the deck, and Caitlin has a broomstick, and she's whacking her sister over her back. And I mean, she's whacking her. So I run up and I grab the stick, I pull it out of her hand, and I literally lifted her up. She was just a little girl at that time. And I walked her into the living room, and I sat her on her chair, and I scolded her. I scolded her. And I told her, I do not allow violence in my home. And I've always taught my kids this from the very beginning. I have seen enough violence in my time that I do not ever want to have that in my home. And that's one of the biggest things I've taught my kids, is that you guys can, yell, scream all you want at each other out of my earshot, but there will be no violence in my home. And that's what I told her. And I literally held her down with my hands, because this little girl she gets very defiant, and that's all it was. I didn't sit on her. She was in my lazy boy chair, and I would just had her pushed down on the chair, just holding her in place. That was between my wife, and I was in there as well. Caitlin, like I said, Caitlin does not like doing chores, and I believe she would have been I'm having a hard time with the time. I definitely remember the incident. I'm just having a hard time remembering the time frame when it was. We were, as we do chores through the house, we take turns with the kids. They do different chores at different times, or not at different times, but throughout whatever day it is, they have different chores. And that's not a lot. It's usually on the weekends is when we do most of our chores. During the day, it's homework after school and stuff like that. Caitlin was not, she would go into the bathroom and like pretend to do the bathroom. We would go in there an hour later and it's in the same condition. And it had to do with the dishwasher. If you're at the end of dinner time, you put the dishes away, but you rinse them off first and then you put them in the dishwasher. Well, my wife had checked the dishwasher because Caitlin had a tendency to not rinse them off. And that's what happened. She didn't rinse off this. So it was like, hey, we need to talk to Caitlin. She's not doing her chores again and she's not doing them properly. And again, when we brought this to Caitlin's attention, all she focused on was that plate, the plate that we had shown her that, hey, these things need to be rinsed off for a reason. She completely disregarded, like the day before we were telling her, hey, you never did the bathroom. You never did vacuum your room. You know, it's that kind of stuff. And she escalated it from it. To make a long story short, when we finally got finished with Caitlin and we said that she could go, she walked out to go out into the garage, and we used to call it a punk. You walk by somebody with your shoulder and you punk them in their shoulder. That's exactly what she did to Jennifer. And I went, no way. I saw her do it red-handed. It was a confrontation, and I did. I pushed her up against the wall, and I said, you will not do that to anyone. I said, that's nothing more than disrespect. And I did. I put my hand on her chest, and I pushed her up against the wall, said, you are not going to do that. And I sent her to her room.
We weren't allowed in the house, that's for sure. Or, yeah, we weren't allowed outside.
That was at Fish Lake, and my debit card came missing. She was very young at this time. My debit card came missing. We couldn't find it, and I had to get another card through the bank. Well, about 2 weeks after this, we couldn't find my card. We found it in Caitlin's closet on the floor. So I confronted Caitlin with it. I said, Caitlin, this is my debit card. We all asked all of you kids, you know, did you take Dad's debit card? And she swore up and down she didn't. I knew she did because it was in the closet. So I did. I went and she was on the bed. She wouldn't get off the bed. So I slid her off of the bed and I guided her onto the wall. And she says I slammed her head against the wall. I just put her nose on the wall. So I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah.
10 minutes at that age.
Needing to go clean her room during the month of May in the year 2023, correct?
Yes.
And during the course of this investigation, you met Officer Johnson, right?
I did. Yes. This is Caitlin's room.
When did you think about it?
It was about the time of the incident.
Is this would trigger having a conversation with Caitlin, Jamie about Caitlin in your room?
Caitlin's room always looked like that for 2 years. And maybe I need to explain. Now, Caitlin got to the point where she would now not do any chores. None. She would completely disobey. Like I said, those last 2 years with her was extremely difficult because she was just disobedient. That's new carpet in that room. That carpet's 2 years old, actually. And I had put a mirror up in Caitlin's room so she could do her makeup. She would sit on the floor. Well, once I got all the stuff cleared up out of there, my mom helped me. I looked down on the floor. She would take her mascara or whatever kind of makeup it was, and she would literally wipe it on the carpet. I wasn't even aware of that. So she was ruining the carpet doing that, and she just wouldn't clean it. There were times where I would go in here and I would have to physically supervise her to pick certain things up and get it hung up in there. But you come back the next day and she never made her bed. The kids, in the morning before we taught all the kids, or the whole family, before you leave your room to come down to go to school, your bed is made. Your room doesn't have to be perfect, but your clothes are off the floor. Just tidy up your room. It didn't have to be spick and span. My room's not spick and span, but there's no clothes on the floor, and I make my bed. And I could never get her to make her bed, and I could never get her to clean her floor. Unless I forced her. Sorry.
I have no objection.
No objection. I'll admit Exhibit G. Would you like the jury to see that now? Bailiff, could you approach? Exhibit G has been admitted both in two parts, part 1 and part 2. If you could hand that to the jurors and just pass that down.
So unfortunately, none of the lawyers were anywhere near a microphone throughout this whole trial. So all we really get is the people on the witness box talking.
Bailiff, you don't need to supervise them necessarily, but ladies and gentlemen, we will put that onto the iPad, but not right now. And you can just observe that now, and then we'll get that electronically loaded at a later time. So when you're done with it, just hand it to my bailiff, and then we'll move on. Mr. Brew, your next question. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Steve, you've described the circumstances of the raising.
Leading up to May 19th?
Yeah.
Let's go there. Stephen, my son, and Stephanie.
Change the sheets? What does that mean?
Approximately, yes. No. When I woke up that morning, I did not know that Caitlin was coming over to clean the room. I received a phone call from Caitlin's mom, Jamie, stating that Caitlin had ghosted her. She didn't know where she was, and Jamie asked me if I knew where a guy named Luke Rice lived. I did not recognize the name. So we talked for a little bit of a time, and I said, well, tell you what, I'm going to get a hold of my sister-in-law and let me ask her, because I have a niece who went to John Glenn at the same time that Caitlin did. So I called my sister-in-law and said, hey, do you know who this Luke Rice is? And she said, no. Yeah.
Yep. Description.
What happened next is that I got another message. Well, I received another phone call from the mom stating that they're on their way to your house. It's a text message.
What's that?
Ben and Caitlin. Okay. Ben and Caitlin showed up at the house, and I have a very long drive, and I have a driveway chime. So I heard the chime go off, and I knew, okay, that's Ben and Caitlin. So I walked around, opened up I guess I would have been their north garage door, and I left it open. The south one's closed, and Ben drove up and parked right in between the two garage doors. And as they pulled up, I walked up to the side of where he was driving, and Ben had the window down, and I said, Caitlin, wait in the car. Ben, I need to talk to you. Now, this is a good young man. I like this kid. Ben is a good kid, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Okay, now, the father is about to have a conversation with the daughter's boyfriend. And he's telling us this conversation, and he's very proud of it, guys.
I believe he has respect for me. So Ben did get out of the car. He did close the door, and I said, Ben, if you're going to date my daughter, you will respond to my text messages. I wasn't yelling, I wasn't screaming, but I'm a dad, and I got my point across. I said, you will contact me. If I contact you, I'm looking for Caitlin. If I call you, and he said, yes, sir. And I said, and if I call you, I said, you will answer the phone because you're dating my daughter. He said, yes, sir. And I said, okay, get in the car. And as he got in the car, closed the door, I looked over and I said, Caitlin, come out of the car, and I looked at Ben and I said, go home. So Caitlin came around, walked in through I guess it would have been the south door, and I walked ahead of her. Actually, no, it was the north door. I walked ahead of Caitlin, and I stood up. There's two doors. One door goes into the house, and then the other door goes to the outside the backyard of the house. And I stand in front of that door. Caitlin tries to walk by me to go inside. During that time, Caitlin coming out of the car, walking into the garage, I can observe Caitlin's demeanor and her gant and the way she is. Her fists are clenched. She's got a very sour look. I could tell this kid she's very upset. She's mad. And I'm like, okay. And at that point, my whole idea of her cleaning the room is now shifted to, I need to get this kid calm. I'm going to have her. I decided instantly, I'm not letting her in the house. So I stepped in front of her and I said, Caitlin, no, we're going to wait for your mom. And I was standing in front of her and she said, Mom said something about, anyway, I won't say what she said. I stood in front of her and I told her, no, you're not coming in. And she stepped back and I said, sit down. And she said, she didn't say anything. She just stopped and stared at me. And I said, Caitlin, and I got stern. I said, sit down. I said, we're waiting for your mom. So at that point, she sat down. I waited for a few seconds and then I started to talk to her. And I started it out with, and I won't ever forget it. I said, Caitlin, we have got to work on our relationship. I said, honey, this cannot be like this. I said, it's not a normal relationship. We've got to be able to work something out. And Caitlin looks up at me sitting down and she reaches down and pulls out her phone. And she wasn't texting at that time. And I said, Caitlin, this is what I'm talking about. You can't take your phone out and start texting people. And I'm trying to have a conversation with you. This is why we're having problems. I don't know exactly, but it was something to that effect. I was letting this kid know we need to work this out. Caitlin looked up at me with this terrible look of disrespect, and she had it in her hand. And I don't know if she was holding it like this, or all I know is that I reached with my left hand and I literally snatched it out of her hand and I slid it in my back pocket. And I said, you're not going to do that. She immediately stood up and took a fighting stance. And I am not exaggerating, fighting stance. Fists were clenched. Her one foot was back. She was screaming at me, give me my phone back. And I said, no, sit down. At that point, Caitlin turned. Caitlin's looking at me as if this is the back. The door going to the outside backyard is behind me and the house door is here. Well, Caitlin, I thought she was trying to go in the house, but she actually stepped forward and she was trying to hit the garage door buttons. And she's doing it like this. You saw Caitlin, she's a little girl. I wasn't slapping or hitting. I was deflecting her arms with my arm. She was hitting them here and I was just pushing her away. I didn't even do anything with my left hand. So I'm knocking them away and I'm telling her, stop it, Caitlin, stop it. Well, I realized she had gotten one and the south garage door started to open up. And as I turned to turn the garage door off, it was at that point, she caught me right on the left side of my cheek. And then she hit me 2 other times. And at that point,
or try smiling.
I said, no way, this is not happening. And I distinctly remember saying to myself, do not hurt her, because I was not going to allow this. All I did was I did a very simple wrestling move. It's a self-defense move.
Yeah, sure.
It's a simple thing. Okay. When Caitlin was doing this with her hands, all I did was I stepped closer. She had hit me once forward. Get close to the part to hit her. All I did was my right hand on the shoulder, my left hand here. I just spun her around and I put her in the bear.
For the record, the witness is now stood up. The attorney's face to face with him, about 4 inches away. And then he had his right hand on his left shoulder, pushed into that, and then pulled with his left hand on his behind left shoulder, kind of scapula area, and then spun. And then, as he indicated, gave a hug to the attorney. So.
Of what he did. Okay.
So I have her in the bear hug, and at that point, she tries to kick me twice. And what I do then is I just kind of, she's very light. I just lifted her up and I slid her across my thigh just to kind of, I distinctly was like, I didn't slam her down. I very gently put this little bitty girl on the carpet. And at that point I turned and I did have her in a chicken wing, which is like this. And I never once took it past 90 degrees because that's how you can dislocate someone's shoulder. And I also had my right hand pinning her, I guess it would have been her right hand down as well onto the carpet. Well, at this point, I realized because she's actually kicking that bench and she's kicking it hard and she's not stopping. And my mind, I'm like, that's got to hurt. And then in my mind, I'm also going, she's hurting herself on purpose. So I still have her in this bear hug and I lift her up and I slide her forward on the carpet. And I think maybe that's where we call them raspberries. In wrestling, if you get a rub mark on your knee, I think that's how she got some of the raspberries. I just simply lifted her up and I slid her forward, put her down, and that's when I put both my hands on her back. I do know at some point I did put my right knee on the small of her back here because Caitlin's very flexible and she was able to literally turn her body almost 180 degrees the other way. And I didn't want her to hurt her back. So I did let her to help her. I just held her that way until Ben came in. And that's when I realized Ben was there. And then I started talking to Ben.
And your conversations with Ben can be heard on the tape if you want, right?
Yes, I was very upset. And no, that's my whole point I'm getting to. I was literally in shock that Caitlin does have a tendency towards violence, but Caitlin also has a tendency to forget things that she does. So it wasn't very surprising to me when she said she didn't remember how she got on the carpet. All I know is that kid I won't say I was afraid of her, but I was very concerned about what was going to happen after this. Because I cannot let my child, imagine if I was a police officer. There's no way a police officer would have put her gently on the carpet. She'd have been tased. She'd have been pushed. And that's the kind of stuff that's going through my head, is that this kid is out of control. How do I fix this kid? And I'd already sent her over to her mom's, and I'll leave it at that.
So you took her for?
Yes. Yes, she did. She was. Yes. Right. Yes, she tried to, but she did. That is exactly, yeah. Yes. She was aggressively going for those buttons, yes. She wanted out. Correct. Yes, I did.
Pinkowski Cross.
Thank you.
Yes, I do. No, I was actually able to visually identify it. It was marijuana, sir. Sure. I believe so, yes. Doing the right thing at the right time under the right conditions. Yes, that's integrity as well. Do I sometimes go over 5 miles an hour with the speed limit? No. My answer is no. No one
Liar.
does. No, sir.
Liar.
Always. Just to my ability. I don't know if I've ever not did one, but the answer is yes, I follow court rules. Yes, I was. Well, no, I was convicted of that because the same child wouldn't go with the mom. So I got convicted for it. Correct. Yes. To protect my child, I will defy anything and everything. You're wrong. I am being integrity. I will always protect my children no matter what. And that's what that court order was all about. I did protect my child.
So it's for your benefit,
It's for the benefit of my child.
but it's for the benefit of you.
That's your theory, sir, not mine. According to you. Yes, I wear that as a badge of honor. My child refused to go with her mom for 2 years, and it got to the point where it was out of control. She got supervised visitation, yet I still got prosecuted for withholding visitation. Did I do that? What you're asking me is, did I withhold visitation? Did I break the court order? Yes. Yes, I did. I've raised them since they've been born. I've been their primary caregiver since birth. No. Well, we're getting into something that I'm going to answer that. When you're smoking marijuana constantly over a long period of time, it produces marijuana psychosis. And that's exactly, in my opinion, as the observing father raising her, is what's wrong with the reason why Caitlin has all these problems. Of course not.
So her behaviors up until you taught her cooking are learned.
They're learned from their mom. You're right. I'm answering you.
You've been trying.
That is correct.
Every time.
Every other weekend.
Interesting.
No, I actually had Caitlin go live with her mom, right? In April of 2023. 2021, she was with me and she went with her cousins in the woods and they got some marijuana. What about Fish Lake?
You said that fine, respectful.
It's not, if you're asking if it's me, that's your theory, sir. That's not my theory. I'm a father who takes care of his children. I put.
Objection. The witness was not done answering his question.
I'll sustain that. Let him finish his answer and then you can ask the follow-up
You
question.
can't, oh, sorry, sir. You can't bully me into an answer, sir. The reason why is because I will always stand up for my children, and it doesn't matter if something is going on with those kids, and whether it's a court order or whether a kid is being disrespectful, because that perhaps may just be the way that they are. I am going to stand beside that child and I'm going to raise them to be an adult, not an adult child. That is my theory.
So, it's on good behavior.
No, not all behaviors are learned. Some people are the way they are personality-wise, and that's a fact. No, it's because I'm a 65-year-old man who's been around the block. I've seen people who were raised in perfect homes and they ended up being really poor citizens. So do you blame the parents? You can blame the parents if you want, but I think that's a cop-out. That's wrong. Sometimes kids are just bad.
So
I am not copying out. I'm trying to explain to you, and I'm going to go into that Caitlin's mental health state. For 10 months, those kids were given marijuana by their mom for the year of 2023. And that's why Stephanie's with me right now, because Stephanie didn't want to do it anymore. So in January of this year, when mom had the kids, because I let them. If the kids wanted to go stay with their mom, I let them, because things for Caitlin were out of control. I could not control this child anymore. I did all the right things with. Yes, I gave it to the prosecutor, Mr. Aldridge. I'm not sure exactly when that was. It was when Devin Johnson was there.
So, if I understand correctly, that it's a cop.
That's your word, sir, not mine. Okay. Not in that tense. You're taking it out of context. Yeah. Okay. Listen, you're trying to get something out of me that I'm not going to give up. Okay, I am a man of integrity and I'm standing my ground. You're wrong. And I'm telling you straight, I'm the father of those kids. I have done the best that I could. And the idea that I'm even in this seat is ridiculous, that Marshall County filed those charges on me. That kid has problems. I pass that on to your office, that man right there, and no one cared. They went after me. They went after me because they believe the feelings of a child overrides a parental rights. This is a parental rights case, and I'm not backing down. You can use that word all you want. That's fine. It's my words, but you're not argumentative. If you want to argue with me in this point, fine. Matter of fact, I'd rather go have a beer with you in a bar and then really go and talk about it in depth. But I'm not going to do it here and waste these people a good time. They know that I've done the best that I could with those kids. And if you want to make me embarrassed, it's not going to happen. I've been messed with by the greatest men in the world.
My dad never messed with you.
Read rec.
No, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can ask this witness questions, you write those down, and then submit them to the court, and I'll review those with counsel. I'll give a moment here to write any questions, and in the event you need further question forms, just raise your hand and we'll be sure to get you some. I see no hands moving or heads nodding, so I think that is the negative on questions. I try to drag that out, so if there's any stragglers, we have those. So with that, Mr. Short, you can step down, sir.
Thank you.
6F6155, State of Indiana v. Stephen Short. He is present with us in court in person, as well as his attorney, Mr.
Everybody ready for the verdict? I wonder if we should pause and do a quick poll. Just a quick poll. Look, Bill doesn't start for 20 more minutes. Just so you know, I have this stream, all 36 of us going to Bill's right after I'm done. But we're going to do a quick poll before we go any further. Start a poll. All right. I can't remember exactly what the charge is. So it's like battery or child abuse. But there's the poll. I'm not allowed to vote. Plus, I know the answer. So, oh my gosh, Victoria, I just put in an order for fried pickles and hot wings, but barbecue for me, but hot for them. And wings are freaking expensive. So I canceled it. And now I'm going to go with Arby's. Let me get some roast beef. Who's got the meats? Sorry. All right, we're going to do this for one more moment. We're just going to let you guys pick guilty or not guilty for the verdict. I think I should also say that the police were called. I don't know how the police were called. And the officer that responded, he came up before. Oh, don't turn my computer off. He came up before the daughter got on stand. I didn't get that piece. I was in Judge Fleischer's courtroom and I missed that piece. But we did miss the police officer coming up. And I don't know if there was body camera for that or not. But hey, we got the other body camera, right? Well, not body camera. All right, let's check the poll. It's over. Pollings are closed. 88% of you guilty.
Mr. Brew, states here by Deputy Prosecutor Nicholas Langowski, and it is 1:03 p.m. My bailiff just notified me about 10 to 15 minutes ago that the jury had reached a verdict. Prior to bringing the jurors in, are there any matters that need to be addressed, Mr. Langowski?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Brew?
No, sir.
Mr. Short, to give you an idea, when I read the verdict, I will ask that you stand and then just stay standing. No outbursts in the courtroom. You've been very respectful thus far, so I don't expect that to be a situation, but I do want you to know no outbursts in the courtroom, whatever the verdict is, and then we will move forward with the processing from there. Bailiff, would you please secure the jury? My typical practice after I read the verdict is to turn to the jurors and ask them, is that your verdict? And to ask them to nod. That's my consideration of polling. Would you like me to poll individually if it is guilty?
Yes.
Not a problem. All rise, please. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Have a seat, please. Thank you. It's now 1:05 p.m. The jury has rejoined us in the courtroom here. And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my bailiff notified me that you've reached a verdict. Is that in fact correct? Could the foreperson please rise? Please hand that to my bailiff. That is the envelope with the verdict form. And both verdict forms if you could. Thank you. Feel free to have a seat. Thank you. Jurors returned the written instructions as well as both verdict forms. And the verdict forms do appear to be in order. Could the defendant please rise for the reading of the verdict? Verdict form reads as follows. Verdict form count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty of domestic battery as a level 6 felony, dated and signed by the foreperson. Thank you. Have a seat, sir. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is that your verdict? And if you could nod, answer yes or no. And I see all the jurors have nodded in the affirmative. Mr. Langowski, any need to poll individually?
No, Your Honor.
Why would he
Ladies and
appeal?
gentlemen, we
He
reached the
won.
conclusion of the
Not
trial. With the return of the verdict, your duty is discharged. But before I formally discharge you, I do want to say thank you. And I mean that with everything I can provide to you. I know that we often hear just hollow words, and I want you to know that I appreciate all.
Did we just watch the same thing the jury was watching? Did I just hear the exact same thing the jury heard? He had her in a chicken wing. He put her on the ground. Ben came in when his knee was in the small of her back. He admitted to doing it all. He was even proud of it. He admitted to prior pushing her nose up against the wall. So yeah, he wasn't on trial for being a bad father. That's not why he was on trial. So all of that stuff that he did wrong, was really irrelevant to whether he did this in this situation. But did we not hear him admit it? Did we not hear it? Did we not see him on top of her with our own eyes in the video? Yes, she was screaming. Yes, she was being very annoying. But does that mean he's allowed to throw her on the ground and stick his knee on her back? I mean, we saw him. We all saw him in that little tiny TV. Oh, you bet. Oh, you bet. You bet. He's probably walking around like a peacock today. Navy SEAL guy, which thank you for your service, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But holy cow. How could we hear all that? And then that man is like, they were like, yeah, that's good. Good job. Good parenting. Yeah, she's with her mom now, which I don't know if that's any better, but she's 17. So hopefully, I don't know what that kid's gonna do. You know? Yeah, he's allowed to do it again. I mean, yeah, he could. He could. I just saw the same thing the jury saw. I just don't get how unanimously they decided he was okay. Unanimously. Okay. Well, that happened. That happened. But hopefully she doesn't bring any more pride flags into the house because he's going to be able to do whatever he wants. Hi, Hanky Panky. Okay, guys, listen. We've got Bill starting in 14 minutes. And this is automatically going to redirect us to him. So I'm going to end my stream now. And it should automatically put all 33 of us. But there was 36, Bill. Sorry. I started talking. When I talk, everybody leaves. Oh, yeah. But you heard what the kid said. You heard what the kid said. Yeah, I want to talk to my dad. He's my dad and I love him. He'll always be my dad. What? When you need someone to support your decisions. Support. No, I don't have any Fleischer ready. No, you shush. We're gonna go and we're gonna chat in Bill's stream for 10 minutes before he starts. No, I don't have nothing ready. I can't stand this boy, guys. Trying to order dinner. Hold on. I'm looking at something. Ah, darn. Fine. Judge Fleischer. There are so many people live right now. But if anybody says we've already seen this one, I'm turning it off immediately. It's the end.
Portable on it and no driving affidavit. I brought him in.
I don't know if I'm going to let him continue to smoke weed. Why does he need to continue to smoke weed?
Ooh, because he had Arby's.
Shot himself and lost a finger. I have medical records, and it is it is an actual doctor prescription from Texas, and you can type right with there's a number that you can actually. You might want to see this. We'll see the
I haven't. I don't know where it is. Security. You're gonna have to help me look too. It's in all of my streams. I just don't know when.
Nathan, can you talk to me real quick?
Sure. Hey, what's going on? It is the letter from the doctor.
Like, what's the state's position on this? So
That's
this gentleman is
your
charged with DWI.
Okay.
Is it a alcohol DWI? Is it a marijuana DWI?
It's there's no DRE, but it's not alcohol. But I don't think I don't think it's drugs either, Judge. I don't think I think it's it's like you saying that somebody can't have their blood pressure medication. It's a true doctor prescription.
I'll be happy to look at the case and talk to Dustin this morning, Judge.
Well, the thing is is that it's a marijuana DWI and he wants to continue smoking marijuana.
But he's not driving.
How do I know that?
Because he doesn't have a car. He crashed it.
Does he have
How
a
do I know
medical?
he can't borrow a car from his neighbor, from his mom?
Well, Judge, that's all assumptions. We can't just assume things. We have
Does
to
he have
give
a
him
medical
benefit.
exemption?
He does.
He does. So he has a medical exemption, apparently.
How do we know that it's from a legitimate doctor though? Because
Well, I just gave the records to you, Judge, but there's a phone number you can
I
call.
agree with you, Judge.
You can call the phone number.
I'd be happy to just. I would like to look at the case, just the merits of the case, before maybe we do any more attention.
take a look with Nathan.
Than maybe necessary.
Yes, Judge.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Joaquin, I'll hit you next. Okay.
She did the defensive driving. She did her 12 hours. However, the certificate does not. Defensive
He's still sitting there from the other day, just waiting.
driving.com.
She should have some kind of proof.
I
Because
have that proof, but the state said we can reset her to wait till her certificate comes.
when is that going to come?
7 to 10 days. I've got the proof that has it. It just says you must complete, or excuse me. You must complete this page to receive your completion certificate. Now, it's got her name, her date of birth and everything, but
She didn't complete it.
I know, that's what I think. So if he says we're good, then we can get it, Your Honor, we work on the certificate.
She didn't complete it.
She did. She could, to get
You're
the
saying she still needs something else to be able to get it.
she has to submit either $25 for overnight immediate certificate or wait 7 to 10 days for the certificate that comes saying the class is done. She couldn't have gotten to this page without having done the.
See?
Just screenshot.
Did she complete this page?
Yes, that's why we're waiting 7 to 10 days.
No, but she should have now another printout saying that you've completed this page. Congratulations.
She's got a text message.
This is how you're gonna get it.
Yes, she's got a text message saying we're waiting for your certificate.
You show me, please.
Can she come up?
Of course.
And then she has something that says you have passed the final exam with 17 out of 20 questions answered correctly.
An 85%?
Yes. Yes.
That's not my strong point.
Do you have?
No, that's okay.
Do you have that picture that shows? Oh.
Hi, Mr. D.
How you doing, Your Honor? You don't have to keep.
The course is completed. You will receive an additional work certificate.
Okay, so you want to set off a week?
I don't, you ordered it, went yesterday.
Yeah, ordered, but it takes 7 to 10 business days for it to come in the mail.
And she didn't have the 25 to spare for the overnight.
Okay, so we'll do 10 days.
Okay.
Okay, and then after that, if we don't have it, then I'm gonna do it day for day. Your case is 230 days old. It's beyond old. So if you don't have it within the next 10 days, I'm gonna roll it day for day until you get it. Okay.
So when the judge speaks, when the judge says words, especially his, phrases, chat goes crazy. If the judge says a charge, whatever the charge is, chat goes crazy. The extra charges, like the Wizinator, the out of pocket charges, chat goes absolutely lootly crazy. So it's like on a scale. When judge is not speaking or when we're in chair watch, then it's just a lot of questions. Is it over? When's the next trial? What kind of candy is the judge eating? Does he really play Fortnite? So we either get a lot of questions or we have to delete. When it's just a normal, like we just saw for 2 seconds here, just normal, then it's just, oh, I want spaghetti for dinner. But whenever the judge says something crazy, that's when all of us, and we don't know when it's going to happen. It could happen at any moment. The judge just says something, and then all of us are all hands on deck. Here we go. And if the defendants say something, that's like second level. So if the judge says something, that's when it goes really crazy. If the defendants say something really crazy, or if they read something, a real crazy charge, then it's like second level. And first we'll see things like, uh-oh, wow, oh my gosh. And then we know, okay, we're about to get hit. Incoming, guys, incoming. Delete. So that's how that works. All right, I have to end now because now we're within 5 minutes. And oh no, we dropped 2. We're down to 34. We were back up to 36, and I was so happy. But 33, we lost 1 more. Don't leave. Let's just all go to Bill's stream. You ready, guys? All right, hold on. I'm not going to play my outro. Thank you so much for coming out to this special edition stream. Hopefully I have enough for tomorrow morning. John, I delete you all the time. I do. I delete almost everybody all the time because the rules are very, very difficult. No drugs, no alcohol, no crimes, no making fun of the defendants or the court staff or the judge or anybody else. Be respectful. So, of course, no one can do that. No one can not say NyQuil. I don't know why, but those are the rules. It's really simple. All right. Here we go. I gotta end now. Bill's gonna kill me. See y'all in 1 second. Bye.